Good afternoon, everybody. We have a special deep dive for you today. Danny happens to be out. He's actually at the swearing-in ceremony for Tulsi Gabbard. He was asked to go there, and he and his wife are there now. But we thought this was way too important to wait, and we wanted to get it to you right now. So you know me, I'm Gary. I'm the executive producer with Danny. And you see who we've got, Larry, the shirt, Johnson, with the bottom line of what's really going on. We started off the day, we kept having vague statements about whether or not Trump and Putin had actually talked. He gave some hints that he maybe didn't. And now we finally know, because he's actually said he has spoken Trump to Putin. And now, after seeing what has gone on, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth was speaking to NATO today in Brussels. And Larry picked up on some things I don't think a lot of people recognize. Larry, why don't you take it and let us know what you thought you saw or know you saw.
Yeah, no, you saw. So what I saw out of this is confirmation that Putin and Trump have had at least two conversations. And the first conversation was sometime well over a week ago. And that's because at the time, when Trump came out and announced that the Ukraine Defense Group, this ad hoc group, which reportedly had 50 countries that were involved, that were being pressed to provide support to Ukraine, that was chaired previously by the United States. So a week ago, Sunday, the word went out from Trump that we're going to ask the UK. The UK has been asked to take over the chair of that. Oh, what an honor. The UK gets to be in charge. That was then followed up on Sunday with a conversation that Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor, had on one of the Sunday talk shows, and saying that going forward, the security of Ukraine was Europe's responsibility, Europe's problem. We then had Trump come back with another comment saying, hey, there's no further military grants, freebies for Ukraine in the future. It's got to pay for it. $500 million in rare earth. So that's where we had these statements making it clear Trump was publicly pushing the United States out of being involved directly in the war with Ukraine, placing the onus entirely upon Europe. At least that's what it looked like. Well, today we got confirmation. So, Gary, let's first look at Trump's first.
His Truthsocial this morning.
Right.
Yeah, this came out somewhere around in the 9 o'clock hour Eastern time.
Now, notice that he identifies. He said they talked for about an hour and a half, and they ended up talking about not just the war in Ukraine, but the Middle East, the economy, other things. But notice who he's put in charge of the negotiations. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, CIA Director Ratcliffe, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Ambassador and Special Envoy Stephen Witkoff. Whose name is missing? Oh, that would be General Kellogg. Kellogg is no longer there. I think Kellogg's been asked to step out.
That's huge, Larry, because he has been the mouthpiece, the face of all of this since Trump won the election.
Exactly. And he was the one, he's supposed to be going to the Munich conference next week to present the Trump peace plan. Well, he won't. I don't think he'll be there presenting the Trump peace plan because he is not identified as one of the key negotiators. And I fully suspect that Russia put the word out to Trump. He's unacceptable. We're not going to deal with him. Why? Because Kellogg's daughter reportedly is part of a group, an NGO working in Ukraine on behalf of the Ukrainian government called RT. I forget the name. RT something or other. Mm-hmm. But what do? Well, they supposedly would help transport the wounded volunteers, American volunteers who were wounded at the front, transfer them to hospitals in Germany. I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts that part of their money, if not a significant portion, came from either USAID, a USAID or the CIA
Really?
as a front company. And I think Russia knew this, and Russia made clear, no, we're not dealing with this guy. And Trump, without a word about Kellogg, said, here's the negotiating team.
You know, he's happy to throw him to the side immediately.
Yeah, he did. You know, not even so much, didn't even get a pat on the rear end as he headed out the door. You know, maybe he'll resurface in some role, but I doubt it.
I hope not.
The negotiating team is set. And Witkoff. You
don't want to see him back, do you?
Oh, no. He's, you know, he was out of touch with reality. So he's gone. So then that led to a follow-up call from Trump to Zelensky. And I think you have a copy.
Yeah, sure do. Give me a second. Yep, let me get that up.
That Truthsocial post.
Yep, here it comes.
Yeah, so Trump dressed this up. Man, you think it was a great conversation. That Zelensky couldn't be happier. I tell you what, Zelensky is probably on the verge of a nervous breakdown because Zelensky is not being invited to the peace talks. Zelensky doesn't really have a role in those peace talks because while Trump's vision of the peace talks is ending the war in Ukraine, the Russians made it very clear, no, we're talking about ending and getting security guarantees with all of Europe and the United States. One of the things Russia wants to end is the presence of NATO bases in Poland and Romania that they see as posing a potential threat to Russia. So the terms, the negotiating positions of each party are still far apart, but the Republicans and the Trump administration, and I think correctly so, they're celebrating this as a great advance forward. But it's bad news for Zelensky because then they'll go to what Pete Hegseth announced today. And what Hegseth said today at this conference with NATO is, I think you and I talked about one possible title for it, Trump to Europe, you're fired.
Yeah. Hey, Larry, right before we get that, I just want to hammer away at what you were just saying. The Economist did an interview with Zelensky that just came out today, and look at this headline.
Yeah.
Exactly what you were just saying.
Well, they don't have to fear it. They have been. They've been cut out of talks between America and Russia. They're not at the table because they're irrelevant. It's not about Ukraine. It's about NATO supporting the war, using Ukraine as a proxy for a war with Russia. Russia wants the NATO war over. And we saw the United States today take significant steps to make that happen.
When you get to Hegseth here, one of the first things
let's go to Hegseth. So let's start with the eyewash. So Hegseth, this is the United States pretending that it's got a tough negotiating position with Russia, by God. And here's Hegseth.
To further enable effective diplomacy and drive down energy prices that fund the Russian war machine, President Trump is unleashing American energy production and encouraging other nations to do the same. Lower energy prices, coupled with more effective enforcement of energy sanctions, will help bring Russia to the table.
Yeah, that's hilarious. The oil production that's going to affect the price of oil, maybe in 2 years. This war is going to be over before that. And whether the United States gets involved with negotiations or not, this war is coming to an end rapidly. Ukraine is losing men and material at a rate that it cannot sustain. And now, as we're going to learn in further comments from Hegseth, Uncle Sam's Sugar Shack is closed for service.
Larry, isn't it laughable that he says that? I mean, who takes it seriously that kind of they consider that kind of arm twisting Putin? Seriously?
Oh, we're going to lower the price of oil. Okay, go ahead. You're going to lower the price of oil for everybody. That'll be good news for Europe. Europe would welcome that. But what what's interesting is that there's, and this is unrelated, but the Chinese production of electric bicycles is so large that it's reducing the demand for oil by about 4,000 barrels per day.
Come on.
Serious. So the rise of the electric bicycle is actually going to help lower the price of oil. So oil will be, it's still going to be a source of income for people, but it may be less in demand going forward because of those electric bicycles, which China's got the monopoly on in terms of producing.
Wow, what a crazy statistic.
Yeah. But
who saw that coming?
That gets us a little off target from this, but
still,
okay.
Though.
So now Hegseth, these next three clips are like hammer blows from Thor, cracking open skulls. Let's go to hammer blow number 1.
You got it.
A durable peace for Ukraine must include robust security guarantees to ensure that the war will not begin again. This must not be Minsk 3.0. That said, the United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement.
So right there, that's the first Russian demand. You want to talk to us? Ukraine's got no role in NATO, period. Not delayed 10 years, not put off 20 years, no role for NATO in Ukraine. That's what Hegseth said. And Hegseth also tossed in, and this was no just spur of the moment comment by him. This was a carefully crafted statement to satisfy the Russians that the United States wasn't going to pull another Minsk, like with Minsk 1 and Minsk 2, Germany and France lied. The agreement was never enforced, never upheld. It was just a ploy to buy time to arm Ukraine so Ukraine could attack Russia. Russia wanted to guarantee that wasn't going to happen. They got it there, number 1. So that was a message to Putin.
So Larry, you're saying to us that these directives were given to Hegseth since the phone call or calls.
Yes. Yeah.
So even though he spoke, you look at the timing of things. We only found out about this latest call supposedly in the 9 o'clock hour from Truthsocial when Trump not tweeted, whatever, he truthed it out. I think they call them truths. He truthed it out. Hegseth was talking right around the same time, maybe a little bit beforehand or right at the same time, basically. And you're saying that phone call and his directives must have come before Hegseth sat down with his speech before NATO.
Correct. This was all orchestrated. This was coordinated. This is not just a happy coincidence. So, and this was based upon one of Trump's previous conversations with Putin. Putin made it clear, this is what we're going to need to hear from you to know that that you're serious. And I forgot, there's one other point I forgot to mention about the lower the price of oil and the pressure on the economy. Again, Trump had been publicly playing out and saying, as had Kellogg, that the Russian economy was really suffering. It was hurting.
He said that so often, Kellogg, in the last 3 months. That was like his mantra, basically. And
it's a lie. Russia announced just last week, 2 weeks ago, that it's at growth for 2024, 4.1%. People say, oh, that's just Russia. They're making it up. Well, World Bank and IMF each came in with, one said 3.8%, one said 3.9%. You round up to 4%, So both two international entities not under the control of Russia and Russia, they're all within 0.3 of a percentage point of each other.
Right.
So Russia's economy is doing just fine. And it's not all because of oil. But, that's Hegseth can say that it's meaningless. What was meaningful was here right now, no role for Ukraine and NATO ever. Hammer blow number 2.
You got it.
Any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission, and they should not be covered under Article 5. There also must be robust international oversight of the line of contact. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine.
So, making it clear, this is not a NATO operation. This is Europe. This is on you. And no U.S. boots on the ground. This is entirely, you know what? Just like Trump handed off the UK to the UK, the defense
Right.
Ukraine Defense Group. Now the whole Ukraine project, Europe, it's yours, baby. Not our problem, not our fight.
Larry, what a difference between the last administration and this one, huh?
Well, it was never made that clear, right?
Right. And how about this? Had the previous administration actually talked to the Russians, I don't know how they process this if they dare come forward with what we see a conversation delivers. But how about that? The conversation that was had just recently, and look at what it's delivering us by actually having some diplomacy.
Well, when Trump is doing that phone call, there's a note taker, and it's also being transcribed, as we learned from his first impeachment hearing. But the notes are taken, it's transcribed, so you know exactly what was said. And I'm sure what part of what Putin said to Donald Trump in a very polite way was, look, our position, if you want to have talks, this is what has to happen before those talks take place. One, Ukraine will never be in NATO. And we need to hear that from you, that they'll never be in NATO. Number two, we need to know that this business about using NATO as a proxy to attack us, it's coming to an end. That this is going to stop. That if the Europeans want to continue to attack us, let it be Europe, but not you. We don't want you involved.
Larry, if you remember, just in January, Blinken was saying, we see the future, and it includes Ukraine and NATO. Just a month ago.
Well, he's not much of a prognosticator, is he? he probably picked Kansas City to win the Super Bowl by 6 touchdowns. So, So, and let's go to hammer blow number 3.
You got it.
Safeguarding European security must be an imperative for European members of NATO. As part of this, Europe must provide the overwhelming share of future lethal and non-lethal aid to Ukraine.
So not only does Europe no longer get to, we'll attack Russia, but we got Article 5. U.S. has our back. Trump's saying, no, I ain't got your damn back. You're on your own, guys. And as far as supplying all this freebies to Ukraine, that's you. You guys come up with it. You give it to them, not us.
Larry, have you ever seen a smoother passing of the baton?
Oh, man. This got, I tell you what, this got shoved up Europe's backside in a way that was very, very painful.
So, Larry, were they godsmacked by this? How? Yeah. I wish the camera panned away to see the reactions after what the Hegseth was saying.
Yeah.
How do you think they took it?
The jaws had to be hanging on the tables. I don't think they saw this coming. And it really will call into question, does NATO even have a future? Because on this particular issue, which they've insisted is so critical.
Larry, still there? Oh, we lost Larry. There we go.
There we're back.
You're back.
It was Stoltenberg's before. It's remarkable how quick Trump's walked away from it. Because it's like, hey, Ukraine, you want some more military equipment from us? Good. Pay for it. Rare earth minerals, pay for it. Give us the money. Show us the money.
He did it. He's doing it in such a strong way too. He's doing it in a commanding way, which is so.
Yeah.
Listen, it's not unlike him to act like that, but I think he's actually pulling it off in a commanding way.
Yeah. So this is now. They also said Trump also talked with Putin about the Middle East. I don't know if this was a discussion since yesterday, but maybe the other aspect of what Trump was doing with his, what I'll call it the crazy Gaza Riviera proposal, is to create a proposal so extreme that it was going to invite the complete rejection of the Arab world and force them to come forward with an alternative plan. And they come forward with an alternative plan that they're going to pay for. Then Trump gets to declare victory. Hey, they've got the plan. They're going to pay for it. And then maybe he will reverse himself in terms of backing a new Hamas, a new offensive against Hamas and the Palestinians. That's dangerous. So he's got the start towards the big deal. Now, people need to understand that, again, the United States is looking at this. Trump is looking at it just like through a straw, one of those new plastic straws that are now back in fashion.
Plastic, thank you.
It's like looking through the straw. You see just a little, bit of the downfield range. Russia's looking at it through a giant telescope. And Russia's vision is much broader. It's not about it. The war in Ukraine's over. They're going to end it. They don't need U.S. help ending the war. What they need from the United States is ending the threat of NATO and ending the threat of Europe, as well as providing the Europeans with guarantees that they're not going to have to worry about an attack from Russia.
Larry, won't this new revelation as far as NATO's going is new to them? Won't this start to just cripple them? They're not going to step up to this plate. They're not going to swing this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no. I know that Starmer and Lammy have been proclaiming, their devotion to Ukraine, but they're outliers, aren't they? In the real world and in the long run.
Well, they're promising. They're promising to give you something next week for something in hand today. They don't have it to give.
That's like a Wimpy in Popeye, right?
Yep.
Give me a hamburger tonight.
I was thinking, gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Yeah, this is exactly. This is the Wimpy come to life. Only it's named Keir Starmer. But Keir Starmer is Wimpy. He's a wimp. And, they want to pony up millions of dollars. I think I mentioned yesterday in the conversation with Danny that I just had I talked to one of my buddies, former member of SAS, who just spent November in the UK. And he said, he was serious. He says he doesn't know if the UK can ever come back from this.
Really?
That they are in such bad shape that can they even recover is questionable. So, we'll see. But this was a, as they say in Spanish, una patata en los cojones.
Translation?
A kick in the cojones or in the testicles. Yeah, this was I think not only unexpected, genuinely shocking to the Europeans, because now they're saying, wait a second, you mean just us alone have to go fight the Russians with the Ukrainians? Us? Just with no American? I mean, America's got the biggest army. America's got the biggest Air Force. America's got the biggest Navy. And you're just sending us in by ourselves? Oh, we ain't going. Yeah, I mean, that when I heard this from Hegseth today, my jaw dropped. I mean, because the message was so crystal clear. Not pulling any punches. Hey, Ukraine, NATO? No.
Wow.
Hey, Europe,
No,
U.S.
thank you.
NATO operation in Ukraine? No. You're on your own. Who's got to pay for all this? Europe, not the United States. Check. Have a nice day.
Man, they'll be looking around and there's going to be nobody there.
Yeah. So this, I think this is going to kick off some very, very rapid changes, both on the ground militarily, because the Ukrainians are going to be going, what are we fighting for? The United States no longer has our back.
Wow. So with all
They
these
lied.
cards, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said they'll just say the Americans lied. This, well, we're with you to the end. Guess what? The end's here.
The end has come. Where's Zelensky end up?
Your mouth said
it. Dance to.
No, he ends up dead.
Yeah.
Zelensky, he either
mysteriously, though, you mean?
I don't know. They may just walk in and shoot him. He's gonna. It's now I don't know if U.S. Special Operations Forces had been providing any of the executive protection for him, but I bet that's being withdrawn. It may be up to British SAS to try to protect him. Brits may have second thoughts.
What's their incentive to protect him? Don't leave us now, Lair. Lair, come back, because I can't answer that. Oh, there we go. You're back, Lair.
Yeah.
What's their incentive to protect him, Lair?
He's just like a hungry baby bird, constantly asking to be fed, but not cute, annoying.
I guess he could pay his way for some more protection going forward, right?
Yeah, well, if he wants to dip into his own funds, he may be cheap. He certainly, I think he's stolen enough to do that. But today, February 12th, this is, we're 10 days shy of the anniversary of the start of the special military operation on 22nd of February, was it? 2022?
Yeah.
Now it's 12 February 2025. Today marked a decisive turn in the war that definitely the end is near for Ukraine.
You think Zelensky will be actually sit down at the table?
No, he's not going to get anywhere near.
Really?
They wouldn't even let him serve coffee.
Oh, wow. That what a scene that's going to be, right?
Yeah.
With the cameras there and he's not there, right?
Well, the other thing that Trump had said that he traded invitations with Putin to visit each other's country. I'll predict right now, Trump is going to be in Moscow for the May 8th Victory Day celebration, celebrating the defeat of Nazi Germany. And he'll be there with Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin and a few other notable world leaders.
And Larry, I tell you, this rings so true to me. Isn't that exactly what the world needs? I know a lot of people it's an outrage to them. To me, that's exactly what we need to see. Right? Yeah. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, and that'll be the game changer. Now, on the U.S. side, there are unrealistic expectations that this is going to lead to a break between China and Russia. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But wait, why would they even say that? Why?
Because we're delusional on this side. I mean, it's I could read you an email from a dear friend that is, going through the list of Putin couldn't wait to be best friends with the United States. They've learned their lesson. They're going to negotiate a deal with us so that we will leave them the hell alone, but they're going to continue to pursue their own path. Now, Trump's got a lot of other things he can do. Lift the economic sanctions, allow direct travel back and forth between the United States, Europe, and Moscow. I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon. Start lifting sanctions on individuals accused of election meddling that didn't do it. I've got one friend over there, Konstantin Malofiev. He was accused of election meddling. He didn't do anything. The biggest meddlers were the goddamn FBI.
Larry, didn't you find the release of Vogel to be a sign of peace in a sense from Putin to Trump?
Do you see the humor in this? What did Vogel go to jail for in Russia? He wasn't a hostage. He was carrying marijuana,
right?
Illegal in Russia. Hmm. Do we still, in some states in the United States, arrest people for possession of marijuana? Bet your ass we do. Do we put them in prison? Yes. So why is it that this guy who gets busted for marijuana in Russia is a hero? Quote, a hostage. He was none of the both, not neither. He got jammed up for being stupid. And meanwhile, in this country, we've got in some states you still lock up people using cannabis. I'm not in favor of it myself, but it's just, notice the hypocrisy of it. And what went unsaid, didn't get a lot of attention, is who the Russians got out in exchange. Yeah, they released Vogel, but they got this Russian who was in charge of setting up a Bitcoin operation. He was facing criminal charges, and he was let go. Mm-hmm. So this Russia knows what it's doing. This is being played a lot for the United States to play it up as if Trump is prevailing in a way that the Russians are surrendering to the mighty tsunami of Donald Trump. And I'm suggesting no. The reality is Trump's heard the Russians' message, and is responding accordingly. NATO, you're fired. Ukraine, you're fired.
He's smart. He knows.
Yeah,
that's the way it must go.
Yeah. So he's finally realizing that the bill of goods sold by Kellogg is no longer good. Kellogg looks like is out of the negotiating business, and Donald Trump has his team assembled between Rubio, Waltz, Ratcliffe, but the lead on this is going to be Stephen Witkoff.
Why do you say it like that?
He's closest to Trump.
I mean, he's not been in the limelight. Limelight's not the right word, but
he's the one that pulled off the ceasefire in Gaza.
Right.
So he's an old golfing buddy of Trump's. Been around Trump for years.
I didn't know that.
Trump trusts him, so he'll be really the lead negotiator on this. I don't know if he'll be dealing with Lavrov, Medvedev, the deputy foreign minister Sergei Rubkov, but and the general Gerasimov will be involved, as well as Belousov, the defense minister. So the Russians got some very clear demands, and the Russians are hard negotiators. So, but they'll keep this process going, and it walks us away from the brink of nuclear war.
Yeah, Larry, I'll tell you what's been impressed upon me. They hold all the cards. I think they've been so they've kept their demeanor so beautifully on the world stage. I think when they've got all the cards, they could have been so much more heavy-handed than they have been.
Well, yeah, they've been playing this diplomatically too. That if you recall, was it last year or 2 years ago? I think maybe it's 2 years ago now. Time flies. In 2023, that Putin received a delegation of African nations at the Kremlin, and they were there to press him for negotiating a negotiated peace with Ukraine. And Trump and Putin diffused the moment entirely by he pulled out the sheet that what had been negotiated and initialed, passed it around. Here, folks, take a look. This is what we agreed to. And the United States sabotaged it. And the Brits sabotaged it. Right. We've been willing to do a deal all along. Don't talk to me. You go talk to them. We're the ones that were willing to do the deal. They're the ones that quashed it. So throughout this process, he's been careful not to do things or take steps that could potentially alienate key countries in the global south, and especially China.
Right.
So that he's always operating from a position of strength that involves the sympathy or empathy of these other countries.
Yeah. He's played it so smart.
Yeah.
So right.
And
I don't imagine it being any different as we go forward here either.
Trump is up against the most formidable negotiator he's ever met. And we can already see the results. Putin's getting what Putin wanted. And allowing Trump to, stage these releases and everything to make Trump look like the big winner.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But behind the scenes, when it comes down to the actual nut cutting, what's taking place is no NATO for Ukraine, no Article 5 possibility for the U.S. to enter the war with NATO.
Yeah.
If the Europeans want to fight Russia, they're going to do it on their own.
Alone.
And if Ukraine's going to get any more weapons, Europe's got to supply it.
Yep.
United States, Uncle Sam's Sugar Shack is closed.
Man, that riot act has been read.
Yep.
Man, it's out and everybody sees it so publicly too. I love how public it is.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, as soon as I heard that, that's why I called you and Danny up to say, hey, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, Larry, I'm so glad you did that, because it's important that this gets out now the way we're doing it. So I'm so glad you did that. Brother, let's press on. There's a lot more coming, and I know you'll be ready for it.
We'll see. It's going to be an exciting week or two.
Yeah, for sure. Anything going on with Sonar 21 at the moment?
Nope. Still just I write every day. Encourage people to read, comment.
Absolutely.
They can contribute too.
I can't get enough of Larry, and you guys, I bet, can't either. You just go to sonar21.com. Larry, every day, he is so faithful, religiously puts out great stuff, and it's there waiting for every single day.
I'm like the dairy farmer of the blogosphere.
Dairy farmer, man, that's going back. That's funny.
Yeah, they got to milk the cows every day, right?
Amen. Yeah, Larry, brother, so good to see you, man. And
hey,
everybody,
so
thank you so much, man. Please like and subscribe. Keep coming back, and we'll have your backs. All right, unintimidated, uncompromised. See you soon.
Thank you.